Sit down if you want to.
Right in the middle of what's going on.
I'm in the middle of an interrogation.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
The middle children of history, man.
Middle of the day, Alfred.
Please, take a seat there.
Right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Stop the middle, it's a basic!
Meeting in the middle.
Like.
They fought for the freedom of
The middle of
the middle of
The middle of a war! This is friggin' ridiculous!
Why don't we have a seat and talk it over?
No! Not the middle seat!
Alrighty, everyone, and welcome to the best seat in the house for all things cinema, the middle seats. This is our freeze frame show where we will talk about a movie of the past and go into a little bit more detail than we would otherwise in our main podcast. So, we just reviewed Blade Runner 2049 this past Wednesday, so we're going to be looking at the original Blade Runner today.
A Blade Runner's job is to hunt down replicants. Manufactured humans you can't tell from the real thing. What I didn't know was they were looking for me.
Mr. Deckard, Dr. Eldon Terrell.
Time to die.
You for real?
He's a damn one-man slaughterhouse.
So, Blade Runner is a renowned sci-fi classic by Ridley Scott. It stars Harrison Ford in a dystopian LA in 2019, only 2 years away now. That future focuses on a world where synthetic humans known as replicants are bioengineered in order to work for society. And when a fugitive group of replicants goes on and escapes, the main detective, Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, hunts them down and goes on a wild adventure that explores humanity and what it means to be human. So, gentlemen, what do we all think about Blade Runner? Let's start with Drew.
You just said his name's Rick Deckard, right?
Yeah.
What'd I say?
No, you're right, but I said in our main review, which hopefully if you've heard this, you're listening to right now, I said Deckard Shaw, which is
Furious 7.
Furious 7. That's Jason Statham's character. Oh, man.
Good Lord, Drew.
How many Deckards are there?
Excellent.
The first day. Oh, man. Okay. Well, people know what I mean. Blade Runner is a movie for me that I appreciate more than I like or love, per se. It's a movie that gained the cult status throughout the years as being this huge, influential, brilliant sci-fi masterpiece. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a pretty rock-solid sci-fi film that really transcends visually what the genre was and audibly what the genre was. I think it has a lot of interesting things to say about AI and Android and what it means to be human. And it really is a slow burn, kind of like Blade Runner 2049 was. There's a lot of things to think about after watching the film, but it's a matter of the execution of the movie. And for me, it's a bit dry for my taste overall.
Dry is an interesting word to put it. What do you think, Jake?
Kind of agreeing with Andrew here. Its influence is bigger than than how it stands up today, for example. I think the influence is uncanny, but the movie itself today in 2017 is good. Interesting concept, interesting themes. I think Harrison Ford is fine. He's pretty good. He's been better. And I think it's engaging enough, but it doesn't get exciting until the third act. And I think the third act is easily its strongest.
I think the standout performance of the film, is not Harrison Ford. I think it's Rutger Hauer.
Easily.
Absolutely. From Blade Runner to Hobo with a Shotgun.
He's borderline terrifying in the third act. He's menacing. He's insane. He's out of his mind.
Borderline terrifying. He is terrifying.
Well, I don't get scared easy, but he's out of his mind.
He's crazy.
Fascinating to watch. And you know what? I actually think this movie came out before Silence of the Lambs. I see Hannibal Lecter in him a little bit.
I could see that as well. Yeah.
There are a lot of comparisons. Yeah, but it sounds unfortunately like we're all in the exact same boat here about this sci-fi classic where we appreciate it, but we don't love it. This is a movie that many people say you have to rewatch over and over again. I think we've all seen it twice now, right?
Yeah, which version, though? There's like 9 versions of the movie.
Yeah.
If it's that great...
That's one of the issues, too. The theatrical cut is considered pretty meh. And there was the director's cut, which the director has now renounced as also being bad and rushed. So the current standard is the final cut, which came out in 2007. And that is supposed to be the quintessential Blade Runner. And that's what you're supposed to watch. So I've seen the director's cut and the final cut. And I didn't notice too many different things between the two, although there were some bigger missing scenes that were rightfully included in the final cut.
There's a big-ass unicorn in one of them.
Yep, that's in the final cut. And I think those additions to the story have helped make the movie successful. Because they added the most intriguing parts of the movie for a modern-day audience that understands AI and doesn't need to be blown away just by including it in the movie, but actually talking about it. So let's get into a little bit more detail. What do we like about the movie? What don't we like? Let's start with Jake this time.
Okay. Just so the audience knows, we are talking spoilers. For me, it's like the concept. I think, generally speaking, the concept is just a lot better than the execution. So as far as replicants wanting to be human, what it means to be human, why they're being hunted in the first place, all this stuff, it's all a fascinating concept, and I think any producer would be silly to shoot it down in any day and age, but it's just, it teeters on the line of semi-boring at times, and it's just not all that exciting for a lot of it, and it kind of comes and goes when it is and isn't, and I think the execution doesn't really get, like I said earlier, doesn't get thrilling until the third act. I am gripping the edge of my seat in the third act. I am excited. I am engaged. I think the third act is amazing. It's just the first two, it's too much setup, I guess. There's just not enough going on. I don't know. I
personally think you're overselling the third act a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat as Drew there.
No, I think the third act is so much fun. It's so exciting.
That Tears in the Rain monologue is fun.
Yeah, it's
is that the word you want to go with?
It's thrilling and intriguing and engaging as hell. Yeah, I'll go with that.
But fun though, because that's a heartbreaking monologue.
It's exciting. Okay. You're splitting hairs here. The third act itself is fun. That might be devastating.
I'm kind of busting your balls a little, but
yeah, I was gonna say that might be devastating and touching, but the third act is so much better than the previous two.
I honestly think this movie's legacy is more interesting than its actual Like, he had 4 tries to get this right. If I went in to go take a test and I was like, no, I didn't do well this time, can I take the test again? And then you take the test again and you don't do well again, you go, no, this one needs a unicorn. I'm going to add that. And now you finally get the test correct. Like, the fact that this movie has gone through so many different forms and shapes and sizes and has finally been regarded as a classic after all those shapes and sizes, I think is infinitely more interesting than the actual movie is. Like, is it engaging at points? Absolutely. Is it a pretty well-made movie? Definitely. Is it visually gorgeous? Yeah. But there's, we've surpassed where Blade Runner was at this point. I really, truly believe that. I think sci-fi as a genre has left it behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody can undercut the amount of work that this did for the industry as a whole. Before sci-fi was kind of just a fringe genre, you definitely wouldn't have a big star like Harrison Ford in a sci-fi movie back in 1982 as a run-of-the-mill sort of thing, but we definitely get that now.
Well, I mean,
and this movie's
if we're discounting Star
design,
Wars, yeah.
Yeah. And this movie's production design is really, really cool. To see a dirty dystopian future was pretty groundbreaking at the time. Most sci-fi focused on, everything's going to be stainless steel. But this gave us a gritty, dark world that grew itself as you watch the movie.
I like how the world is kind of like a weird mixture between Asian aesthetics and also like Los Angeles aesthetics. I don't know where he got the idea from that is. I don't know if that's from the original source material, but I think that was a very neat touch to make it kind of feel more cultural and global.
Sure, definitely. So, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. The one that promotes the most discussion about Blade Runner is whether or not Harrison Ford's character as Deckard is a replicant or not. And that's probably the coolest feature of the movie, is raising that question. But part of the thing that really annoys me at Blade Runner is that question is such a subtlety in the movie. There's only 2 real scenes that hint at it, because the love interest goes and asks, "Have you ever taken that test yourself?" And then he has that dream about the unicorn.
Well,
and that's all the movie really brings to its attention.
Nate, you are. I would say
Yes.
you are an expert among us, but there is a scene. Either it's right around the time he gets real creepy with her, and his eyes light up like a robot. So I was just gonna say you're missing one. You're missing a key one there, buddy, Mr. Expert.
Yes, and
does it really matter if he's a replicant or not? Does that change the movie at all? Does it change the themes? Does it change the messages?
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's a big fun debate to have and stuff, and it has become the debate about Blade Runner. But do we actually have to give a shit? Like, do we have to care? I mean, the movie is pretty much not completely the same, but the same actions happen, and he acts the same throughout. I just find it fascinating that that's become the touchstone topic.
I guess that's kind of the thing, though. If he's a replicant, would he act the same? So he thinks he's a human. To our knowledge, he is. But say, Andrew, you found out at the age of like now, 22, that you're a robot. Wouldn't your entire life change?
Would I protect other robots, though?
Maybe if you connected with them.
Maybe.
And it's a cool point, but the original Blade Runner does nothing with that debate. And that's why this movie really falls off for me. And other critics can rewatch this and say it's a masterpiece, but it just doesn't do it for me as a movie, because it raises questions but never acts on those answers one way or the other. It's just fun to talk about, but it's not present in the film.
And just to be clear, you're not talking about like explicit answers. When we say answers, we mean kind of just justifications per se.
Exactly.
Not exactly. You don't have to look at the camera and tell us this is what's happening. But, you need to give it some kind of context.
Or at least have Harrison's Ford character have to wrestle with that question. That never happens in the movie.
Right. It's just a little tease that has made a legacy.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what would we rate the original Blade Runner, guys, on the seat scale? Let's start with Jake.
So I'm sure it sounds like we're all on a pretty similar boat here. I'm sure a lot of people would be outraged at anything but a royal throne, but for me, it doesn't get there. It's a nice plush recliner. It's a good movie. It's entertaining enough. It's not run of the mill like a wooden seat. It's a good movie, and it's influential. It's like one of the first ever made plush recliners. So it's like the first. It's like one of the first of its kind. It's good. It's comfy to sit in, but I don't think it's a masterpiece.
True.
It's hard because, and I think this is going to be a problem in this freeze frame kind of spin-off show for us, because a lot of these movies have, they have legacies. And how do you separate the legacy from the actual body of work? Absolutely, if we're talking genre-wise, overall, the movie's a royal throne. But if you're looking at it specifically as a movie on its own, it's kind of on the lower end of plush recliner for me, I would say. It's a movie that I really appreciate, and I like it, but I don't love it. And I've had more fun talking about it here with you guys than actually watching it, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Well, this is in complete contrast to our 2049 review, but I'm on the lower end of this movie. For me personally, it is a wooden seat.
Ooh.
I'm just not a huge fan, and we can talk about this movie's legacy for ages, but when it comes down to my personal tastes, upon rewatch, this is just a mediocre, original, but not quite successful movie for me. And that's kind of how I'm going to keep rating these freeze frame reviews, because I don't have the context of when this movie came out or even when this movie started its cult following. All I can do is just sit down and watch a movie and say if I liked it or not. And I'm not a huge fan. Wooden seat.
But what if that seat is a replicant? Dun dun dun.
True. Get the heck out of here, man. All right. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's freeze frame. I hope you enjoyed our little analysis of Blade Runner. Do you guys like this movie? Let us know in the comments down below. Please let us know if you have any more suggestions for future freeze frames in upcoming weeks. Find us on YouTube. Find us on our email, on our Facebook page. And we hope to hear from you guys soon. So, that's it for us. Keep that seat warm, everyone. We'll be back soon.